Do you ever feel as though life is just moving a lot quicker, especially as you get older, or kind of like every week or day just blurs together after a certain period of time? This is something that I've been going through a lot, and it's also something I hear among the people that I work with, and so I decided to check out what's going on here. The reason that I think it's important to talk about this is that it's a really depressing feeling, at least in my experience and in the experience of many people that I work with, to feel as though you're kind of just living the same day over and over and over again. You know, you can kind of look back on the past few months and think, did I even really do anything? And sometimes that can actually also just knock your sense of self and your self-esteem, because then you might get into your head about, oh, well, am I not an interesting person? You know, why am I not living up to my potential? All of these things. And so I think it's important for us to talk about. So what's really interesting is that there's actual some science and reasoning behind why you feel like life is going faster. It's not just in your head. So one of the reasons is because when you're a kid, if you think about it, 1 year of your life represents a big chunk of your life. So if you're 10 years old, for example, 1 year of your life is 10% of your whole life. But when you get older and you've lived so many more years and you're 40, let's say, then 1 year of time represents only 2.5% of your life. And so I think that's a huge part of it, where we feel as though time is going slower because it represents a much larger chunk of our entire lives when we're younger. Another thing that happens is that when we have significant things happen to us or we build new memories from novel experiences, we're more likely to remember those, and time might seem a little bit longer or at least more significant. And I think that this explains a lot of the reason why so many of us feel as though COVID was an absolute blur. Maybe that's just me. But every time I think about those like 2-3 years, I honestly just have basically no idea what happened. And it's mainly because nothing did happen during those years. You know, again, when you're younger, you are going to school, you are having these huge milestones, you're having very unfamiliar experiences and storing a ton of new memories. But as you get older, you're not really having as many of these new experiences. And so you're just not storing as many memories, and time can become a huge blur. Another component is that we have a lot more responsibilities in adulthood, and I feel like a lot of the time we just feel really, really rushed. So if you think about it, I know every time a weekend comes, I feel like I have kind of one day maybe to enjoy it, because Friday night, it's like you're a little bit burnt out from the week. Sunday night is you have the Sunday scaries, but also all day you might need to run errands. And so you kind of just maybe have Saturday to do something and to create some new memories. And if you have kids, that might be, you know, even harder to do depending on how much parenting related stuff that you have going on. And so I feel like we're constantly feeling like we're just rushed for time, and we just don't have enough of it when we have more of these responsibilities in adulthood. Another thing that can make time feel a little bit slower is anticipation. And so when you were younger, you might have had more things to look forward to, whether that was something significant like your prom or graduation, or maybe you were just doing more because you had less life responsibilities like I was just talking about. So if you don't have many things to anticipate, it can create this feeling that time is just moving really quickly. So in terms of what we do about it, there's a few ideas that I have. The first thing is to learn something new. Again, we want to have novel experiences to make time seem like it's not moving away from us or slipping through our fingers. So that can be anything you want. Personally, I've been trying to learn French recently, and it might not be the most exciting thing, but it's something new. And so it's just felt kind of nice to do something different with my day. Every time I go for a walk, I open up my app and I'm practicing my French, and it's just kind of nice. But you can figure out what that might look like for you. Maybe it's signing up for cooking classes. I did knitting classes for a period of time. You can do art classes, whatever you fancy, but just something that's different that you're trying, because it's gonna be a novel experience. You know, it's all that familiar stuff that causes us to feel like we're not really living life to its full potential and causes us to feel like it's slipping by. So we need unfamiliarity. So another tip that I have, and this is something that I learned from a friend of mine. She went on vacation. I cannot remember where, if I'm being honest, but she came back and she was like, you know what I've been thinking about is in other parts of the world, they don't just wait for the weekend to do fun things. They actually do stuff during the week. And I think we used to do this before COVID a little bit more. It's like if you were in the office, you would kind of grab drinks with coworkers afterwards or something. But now that we have this work from home context, or we've just gotten the habit of staying home more, I don't know if we're doing this as much. So when she came back, we kind of made it a little bit of a pact to do more stuff during the week. So we might have gotten dinner on a Wednesday or seen a movie on a Tuesday just because. And I also have found that that has been really helpful for my own mental health, just in terms of finishing a week and being like, I did something this week. And also having something to look forward to is really, really nice when you start the week. It's not just always about what do I have to do today? Where do I have to go? Where do the kids have to be if you have kids? All that stuff. You actually have something fun to look forward to. Another thing that I think we do a lot when we're younger, but we don't do as much in adulthood, is celebrate stuff. You know, there's a lot of things to celebrate. Again, when you're younger, when you're in university or whatever you do, you might celebrate getting your degree. You might celebrate anniversaries with your partner. You might celebrate all these things. And I feel like we sort of lose that habit later in life. So I am a really big fan of celebrating the small things. If you've had little goals, like for example, you wanted to reach a certain number of followers on Instagram or something and you met that goal, celebrate that somehow. Treat yourself to getting a manicure or open a bottle of champagne or whatever it happens to be. But don't forget to let those little wins just slide by, because I also feel like that then can cause life to just pass on by us. Another tip, and this might seem really simple, but I think it's so important for us to engage with life. And so many of us have lived in worlds that have become so digitized. I mean, even if you think about dating, something that is all about human connection is now mainly happening through apps. So a lot of us, I think it's really easy to just not actually engage with life, but to instead just engage with a screen. So getting out of your house and talking to people in real life, even if it's not in a romantic way, but doing something like joining a volleyball team, or I don't know, just talking to people more, doing things more out of the house, engaging in what's going on around you rather than just, tapping away at your phone all the time. And on this note, I think that getting hobbies is super important. I remember during the pandemic, there were people that I worked with who were like, I've learned through this experience that I have no hobbies whatsoever, because they would just get so much in the habit of just going to work and coming home and watching TV. And so they don't actually have any hobbies. And that can make life feel very monotonous if all you're doing is working, sleeping, working, sleeping. I'm a huge fan of hobbies. Like you name it, I've seriously tried it. Scrapbooking, making my own jewelry, painting, knitting, crocheting like stuffed animals and things like that for nieces, nephews, friends, babies, knitting blankets. What else have I gotten into? Now I'm learning French, like I mentioned. All the hobbies, and I find that it really helps break up the monotony of life. Something else that can be really helpful is to reflect more on what you have done. I also find that because of our phones, we have all these photos in there that sometimes we never look at. And I've noticed that sometimes I'll be going through my photos mainly to figure out how to get more storage on my phone. So I'm like, what can I delete here? And I end up being like, oh yeah, I forgot that I did that a couple months ago. Or, oh yeah, that was really fun when I did that last week. And so it's a really good way of remembering the things that you have done and remembering that your life might have been full of more activities and fun things than you kind of remember. I had a friend who, she did something on Instagram that I thought was really cool, was she finished a month and she was like, this was the month of May. And she included all the photos of the things that she had done. I thought that was such a beautiful idea and such a good thing for us to do just for our own reflection, opening up that kind of a post and being able to look through and just remembering the things that you've lived through. So all in all, I think that there's a lot of stuff that we can do to make life feel a lot more exciting and less monotonous, re-engaging with life, re-engaging with people, spicing it up, doing new things. They're all simple, but super effective. If you want to learn more about fun hobbies that you can try out to spice things up yourself, check out my Instagram page.